This video might seem as if the subject matter is a touch premature. Forgive me if it is for you personally or for your organization, but I want to start talking about hiring people in a, if you like, in a post-COVID or even to some extent during COVID situation. What I mean by this is that there is still hiring going on, obviously at a much more depressed level than we would typically expect, but there are still companies hiring, and obviously as every month goes by of recovery, the numbers of companies hiring will increase. And one of the things I think is going to become very, very crucial from an employer and obviously the job seeker's perspective is the issue of sort of security and stability. Now, in normal circumstances, or certainly in more buoyant times, this tends to be something which is of less importance to most job seekers most of the time, i.e. there'll be other factors that are probably of greater importance when they make the decisions about which companies they choose and whether they accept an offer or not. I would suggest that it's likely to be right up there in the immediate aftermath of this sort of the COVID crisis we've been through. So if you are a company, whereas before, once you found, however you did that, whether it was through a recruiter like me or any other way, once you found the person you wanted to hire, that was, assuming you made a decent offer to them that was in line with their expectations, that was probably you almost thinking, right, that's that done, no problem, we'll get this person on board, all is good. I don't know if it's going to be quite that straightforward in the new reality. What I mean by that, of course, is if you are looking to hire somebody who is still currently in work, that person is going to be very, very careful and conscious that changing to a new company makes them the newest person at that company, whereas where they currently are, they may be, forgive the sort of the cheesy cliche, they may be part of the furniture. They may feel very secure, and with good reason feel very secure, because they've got through the corona crisis when people were being let go perhaps. So if you have a position of stability where you currently are, and then you have another company saying come and join us, whilst that can be very attractive for all the usual reasons, there can be that sense of fear and uncertainty that that changing company in this time frame might be a bigger risk than normal. So what can the new or the potential new employer do about that? Well, it is a tricky one, because obviously, to some extent, it is probably a bit of a risk. So I think what an employer can try and do is talk about how they can build in perhaps some security and stability for that new employee. Something I was talking to a candidate about the other day was the issue that that he was saying had happened to him very recently, when a company was actually trying to get him involved during, almost at the height of coronavirus. And he sort of said, well, okay, I'll be open to doing that, but I'm going to need you to build in a sort of a contractual guarantee in terms of how long you're going to employ me for. Now, this struck me as a really quite a good idea. Now, ultimately, it didn't come to fruition because the coronavirus situation got too big. But it did at least spark a conversation between job seeker and employer, or potential employer, about what that level of security could be and how it might be set up. Now, often this comes down to money, let's be honest. And so sometimes it might be for a role, particularly a very senior key role for your business, you might find yourself in a situation thinking, well, if we want to get this particular candidate who we think is brilliant, and obviously if you think they're brilliant, guess what, others will do too. In order to secure someone like that, you might need to make them, if you like, a more significant offer than before. Now, I don't mean necessarily that the salary you're going to pay them will be any higher. That may still be the same. But you might have to think about, do we build in some level of guarantee over a time frame? Now, that might be 3 months, it might be 6 months, it might be 9, it might be 12. I really don't know. And obviously it's up to the two parties to decide. But thinking about these kind of issues, I think, is going to become a really big deal. Job seekers will be very, very, very nervous and edgy around making moves at a time where they'll have seen people during that sort of March, April, May period, they'll have seen people make moves to companies or have made a move not long before then, who were then cut really quite quickly and brutally. And that may be completely understandable and justifiable for the company, but obviously it does leave the individual feeling, well, Christ, I don't want that to happen to me. Is there any way I can protect myself given that I'm currently working somewhere where perhaps, again, rightly or wrongly, they feel secure and stable and not in any real immediate danger. So again, I don't have the answers to this. I guess all I'm trying to say is you may have to start thinking about this as a possibility and thinking about ways that you might be able to generate some level of security and stability in the mind of that potential new employee. Okay, well look, have a good think about that. There's no set answers, but I think it's something that we're all going to have to consider. Okay, cheers.